for coming back. We're about to jump into the second session of our day with Petra Ludvíková and Michal Kaščák from Pohoda and Petra from Palace Acropolis, who was already pitched a few bands, I heard, in the break before. So busy as always. I'm starting with a short intro about both of you, and then we jump into it. Petra Ludvíková is a versatile booker, manager, DJ, and promoter. Since 2006, she has been a key booker at Palace Acropolis, organizing concerts for the Euroconnection project and coordinating the Czech branch of the Live Europe platform to support emerging European musicians. She's been a DJ and presenter at Radio 1 since 1996 and is actively involved in promoting women in the music industry through the Femme Fatale concert series. She's managed bands like Il and Voila and Never Soul. Previously, she was an editor at TV HOTS, if I pronounced well, hopefully. Perfect. And the screenwriter for the electronic music program, Frisbee. Quite a lot. Michal Kaščák, a Slovak musician. Do you still... okay, a Slovak musician, lyricist, composer, and the founder of Pohoda Festival, Slovakia's premier music festival. He was born in Trenčín, where Pohoda is, and he began his career with the band Bez Ladu a Skladu, which was a very famous and iconic band in the 80s in Slovakia with a hard political stance, and later formed several other bands. Since 1997, Pohoda Festival has grown into a major international event featuring around more than 100 acts annually and offering a diverse program including music, literature, dance, visual arts. He received multiple awards for his contribution to music and culture, including the Radiohead Award for Outstanding Contribution to Music. And the festival also has gathered so many awards that it would be hard to list, I guess. But yeah, so thanks for being here, for both of you. You're mainly a booker, right, in this situation, and you're mainly a festival organizers, but we're still going to talk about booking bands and helping build their career in the live industry. So I would like to start with following up actually on the previous discussion, which were with a promoter, a friend and a booker from Sweden, is how they build up bands, like emerging bands mainly, and think about their career in the long term. And can you tell us a little bit about how you see that in your own work? How do you look at a band and what's the strategy behind booking them for gigs and hopefully even looking into the future with them? Let's start with you.
Firstly, thank you for the nice introduction. I'm not only the booker, I'm actually the programmer for the venue, because in addition of booking, I also organize another projects that helps artists to develop themselves. It is also on this topic how we work with artists. Often if we talk about emerging artists, we usually invite them to open for some Czech bands or some bigger acts, but we also have the small stage for 100 people. So we have some headline shows of emerging artists there as well. We worked, for example, also with Hungarian bands like I Am Young or Deva or Belau. I think that this is changing over the times, because when I started, usually it was, you could rely on the fact that if you invited the band for the first time and the show was good, people it will spread between people, and next time it will be even more successful. But now it's a very different situation. So the band can, even without the booker or without the venue, can become a star overnight. But then, as quickly it started, it can finish. So it's a bit different. But we still work with the bands very simply, like they open up for bigger artists, and then if it works well, we invite them again, and it can continue.
Is it? Do you have some criteria, like when a band is reaching out to you? What do you look at?
It really depends on the project. So you know. So basically, if I describe how we work in booking, it starts with initial research. Then we evaluate if the artist, if the quality of music is good, and if the artist, if their music fits to our projects. And if all goes well, we contact the booker or this artist, and we discuss the conditions, and we discuss the availability. So very often the booking process ends here because sometimes it is more expensive, or we don't find a date that suits to everyone, because our space works for music, for theater, also for rentals, and for also some co-productions. So there is really we need to book everything a long time in advance. So, for example, for this year we are fully booked, and it is like this.
Nice. And turning to you, Michal, you probably look at it from a different perspective, also because you're responsible for the whole festival, which is many other legs than just music acts. But still, I'm sure you have some sort of experience with that.
Yeah. So thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure, and for me it's very special because this, and also regarding to the topic we are speaking about, Lumen is the place where I played first ever show with my band 5 years ago. It's like post-punk, avant-garde, cabaret, freak. I don't know what the description of the band is.
At this stage?
Here, exactly here. It was here. And I'm like, you know, we are speaking about emerging bands, and we were super emerging band because it was our first ever show. Sorry?
You too, okay. With which band? But not the
it
one
was
that I
Drž.
mentioned.
It was Drž, and it was very political band, and we had 2 Hungarian members. And that's why we played here, and also this is known for presenting experimental music.
Okay, yeah.
So, for example, Martin Czernovsky was member of the band, and etc. etc. And so we played here the first show, and I don't know why they booked us, but I think it was connected to friendship between our Hungarian members and them, and also our leader is part of experimental European scene, so we played here. So for me, it's a special place to be here, to be back here again. We split. Now they continue with another singer, but 5 years we were together, and the beginning was here. Back to the topic. I think that one of the role of the festival, it's of course it's a freedom of every festival promoter if they are choosing also some, let's call them emerging bands and acts and artists or not, but we do it, and I think that it's one of roles of the festivals to use its power to present also bands which are interesting, young, fresh. It doesn't mean that they need to be young by age, but you know, new in the scene. And we do it, and we do it very actively. We do it also with some international bands, not only with domestic, which means that as you mentioned, I started as a musician. When I started to be a promoter, I promised myself that I will listen to all bands which are offering us to play at Pohoda, and I will go through all rosters. It's not possible anymore, and I'm very sorry for that, because we were in the position where we were a young band, so we were trying to play somewhere. And but I have team and I have curators, and for example, we have project at Pohoda, 2 garages which are dedicated to totally beginners. It must be like that because it's very small stage, 2 very small stages. Symbolically, they are starting to play after main stage. When the main stage stops, we open symbolically garage, because garage in Slovakia used to be rehearsing room for young bands. That's why we have real 2 garages there, and we have 12 emerging or small or some bands from subgenres playing there during the night. So it's one spot. Then we have Cafe Kuśnierik for another smaller stage, which is presenting mainly newcomers and new artists. We do several competitions, like we cooperated with Czech Radio Wave with their project Starter. We were choosing 1 act, and they could win the possibility to play at Pohoda. We work with European Capital of Culture in Trenčín. They do something similar with Garage, because our garage is traveling around the city during the year, and then during the festival it's coming to the festival side. So we do it also that, and plus what we do is also sometimes we use, but you can, from my perspective, you can do it only if you are absolutely sure that the band is ready for that, because on the other side you can kill the band. But we do also the one thing that we are offering strong slots to some, I would say, younger Slovak artists. And we did it with Fulcrum. He played the same slot as Flume the next day, and he had same audience, and he did amazing show.
Yeah, it's a big risk also.
And it's also big risk, because when you do this, you can also harm the artist, because if it's too big, if it's not working, it would be like not good reputation. But it was very successful, and it still is very successful.
You invest a lot of energy into taste making. In that
yeah,
sense.
and we have also curators. For example, for the 2 garages, I have curator, and I'm not controlling anything except if they would book, what will never happen, because the curators are chosen by us. But if they would choose, for example, some extremists, so we will just use our veto right, but we don't need to do that. And also we do it at international conferences. I have one example with Lola Marsh from Israel. They were playing maybe their 10th show at Pohoda, and now they are very big in the country. Or with Donny Bennett from Australia. He came to Slovakia, to Pohoda, as a small artist, but we made such a big hype around him that now he can play main stage, and he has full stage. So we do it also with international acts. And to be honest, you were speaking about tricks, etc., etc. Sometimes when I am at conferences, we are listening too much to strategies, teams, plans. It's all good. I'm not against that. But sometimes you just need intuition. Of course, you need good music. And also sometimes you just need someone who is willing to give you the trust. We are trying to do it. And sometimes the strategies are just too much, and you are planning strategies and you are not playing music, which is a shame from my perspective.
Yeah. That's true. Sometimes, thank you for that. Going back to Acropolis and the taste making, do you think you also have the power, the freedom, the leg room to be a tastemaker, or you have to be very sure about what you pick, and you can't have risks too much?
I think that we are the taste makers very often, actually. And as Michal said, I also, it's I like a pinch of adrenaline with every booking somehow. So it is very risky to be a booker, but if there is a venue behind you, so we also apply for some financial support. And so we are not in the position that we really need a commercial success. We want to help artists to develop and to discover good talents. Sometimes it is a bit challenging, to listen to all the music and discovering the really something extraordinary. But we do it with many of our events, even at the small stage or in the main stage. Yes, so I think that with the bookings, you know, I of course I check the social media, how active and how successful the artist is there, but it is still a side tool for me, and I mostly so my guide is often also my intuition and my.
Do you look at the bands that played at Pohoda, for example?
Michal mentioned Lola Marsh, so the first Prague show was also organized by me at Palác Akropolis as part of my Femme Fatale concert series, and this was the case that I saw her for the first time at Reeperbahn, I think, and it was a very short concert in front of the venue acoustically, so I didn't see the proper show inside, and I knew that this is really the real talent I want to bring to Akropolis.
Yeah. And when you think about the markets of the Czech and the Slovakian market, do you feel that it's getting stronger? I mean, the market and interest for music and the festival is becoming stronger because of your work. Let's say that there's such a taste-making effort that goes into it that it's actually making ripple effects, or do you have a hard time to actually convince people to stay at the festival, come there, have the experience?
You know, it was better and better before pandemic, but then we are now like 10 years back, I would say, because people stopped to go to the show during the pandemic because they had to, and now we expect that they will come back like, wow, with big joy, but it's not like that. Mm-hmm. So we must work harder with promotion, with everything regarding the festival. And the first year was success. This last year we lost part of the audience, and this year it looks very positive, but we are working like crazy. So, and like you said, it's in general in Slovakia the situation is not easy with clubs, with festivals. By the way, this is good combination because I absolutely admire what clubs do, because clubs are the important base also for us. We are just one time a year. They are every weekend, every week. And then you asked Petra if they are tastemakers. They are. When I go to Prague, I always check what is in Palác Akropolis, and it's what they do it for 30 years maybe.
Yeah, since 1995, I think it started the new chapter of Akropolis.
Yeah, so it's amazing what they do, and it's really cult venue. And they can do also like all these from 80s, like us, for example. We played there last month. Yeah. And they can do also new talents, and they have audience for both. So they are not becoming older and older. Mm-hmm. So they do amazing work. And in general, I don't know how it is in Czech Republic, but in general in Slovakia, it's not easy to survive. There are, of course, problems. Mainly it's becoming now when state is not supporting and will not support independent clubs and independent scene anymore. We are not depend on state money as Pohoda, so we are, let's say, fine with that. But I absolutely respect that the state should have some role in culture and arts. So it's a pity. And you asked how is the situation. Of course, we use the whole power of Pohoda to support music scene in general. So sometimes we do events around Slovakia. We were organizing big concerts all around the country, and some campaigns with clubs. For example, during pandemic, when we had the chance to do 1,000 capacity event, we asked clubs to do their own stages at Pohoda, and every day there were 2 clubs, and they were like competing between each other in friendly way. And we do this, and also we were involved in TV series about club scene in Slovakia, because I really believe in that without strong club base, the festivals are important, but the role of the festival is different to role of the club.
And so that's also the way for your festival in your case, that first bands better to try some of the festivals, some of the clubs in Slovakia?
Yes,
And
but
also
we are like, I think in this we sometimes we do the like we can introduce also bands and we do it. For example, last week we had maybe third show of the band at our event, and at Pohoda will be fourth or fifth. So it's real beginners, and we want to kick the bands. So we are not just looking what is successful around clubs. We are also trying to push the artists and to persuade promoters that it's worth it to book them.
Yeah. And how would you describe the situation in Czechia between festivals and clubs and Acropolis?
Yeah, I also think that that the clubs are important because they are important for the musicians. Musicians wouldn't be musicians if they don't have a place to play, and the festival is once a year, so it is a nice, exhibition, a nice moment that gather all bands together, but they need to play regularly, very often. So I was a little bit not happy about the situation in Czech Republic, where the festivals got the big support from Ministry of Culture and institutions, and many clubs just had to give up because they didn't have money, to survive. But I think that the situation will change. It is changing now, and let's see what will happen.
Is it still possible to bring people into the shows in clubs, or especially younger generation? Do you see any divide between, I don't know, people above 30 or something going to shows versus the younger generation? Do you see a divide there, or it looks like a healthy?
The young generation also visit shows, but it must be something that is so strong in social media, and they need to feel that this is something they must be in. But many, I think that the middle generation, I don't know how, because maybe it is also that Palác Acropolis, the shows in Palác Acropolis is more alternative music, and there are other venues maybe that are more focused on the youngest generation. But the youngest one maybe are more just watch the shows digitally or watch the artists, and don't need to go to the shows.
Do you see any sign of that at Pohoda? That it's harder to
Not so much, but we lost, of course, some, we all who are involved in music, we remember our initial moments. For me, it was when I was 10. My brother took me to show off his band, and I decided in that particular evening that I want to be on stage one day. And it happened very soon after. But and this was the moment. There are a lot of people who lost this opportunity in their some age, because it's different from person to person. And they, for example, started to play games, to do other activities, and they are in now, and they are perfect, and they are happy that they do it. But we don't have, we lost this, because I believe also in, like, clubs are important not only for playing music, but also for creating community between artists. Artists are meeting in clubs also when they don't have concerts and shows. They are just going to have a beer there and maybe to watch some bands. So it's very important place for socializing and for communities, creating communities. And during pandemic and after pandemic, also this little bit changed, but I think that it will come back because live music is super strong, and I'm optimistic in this. For example, in my what I see around us or me or our bunch of people, I don't like bubble. I don't like that word. There are more and more young bands again, so it's good. It's good sign. And for example, and
Of course, it's particular more about some genres, etc. But also in small cities like Modra, which is 8,000 city, it's 8,000 people live there. When some alternative hip hop star is playing, it's 100, 200 young people making fantastic party like we used to do at punk shows in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, and can you describe us a little bit the scene in Czechia and in Slovakia also in terms of the bands and what sort of scenes are stronger than other, and if the domestic market is strong enough to support their foreign expansion, if you know, if you can talk about it. Do you have experience with that, or do you see the scenes in that way?
I would say that maybe rap music is quite strong. It became to be strong in Czechia recently, and also in our venue. It has a good audience. But what was the other question?
Is there do you see more and more Czech bands, let's say, going abroad and playing, like building an international career? And do you see any good examples of that?
I think it is better than it used to be, also because there are more initiatives like Live Europe, which we are a member also of Live Europe platform. I put behind some brochures about it if somebody doesn't know about this. And it is the network of European venues. We started in 2014, and now we have 24 members of European live venues. And we are focused on emerging artists. So, of course, I try to recommend, to suggest the other Live Europe members, Czech bands as well. So they travel more abroad, but I don't know if it means that that it is the success, you know, because I feel that many bands can travel abroad. It's easier also because of the showcase festivals, because of the platforms, networkings. But for example, this program is focused on emerging artists, so we have some criteria. And after 7 years, the band is not emerging anymore. But if they don't have the big audience, we just cannot work with him again. So I would just suggest all artists to try to get
emerge fast.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Slovakian scene?
It's different to Czech. We are, we used to be one country. When we split in all basements, people in Slovakia, I'm using it as a joke, we're creating some fitness club, and in Czech Republic music club. So it's difference between Slovak and Czech Republic in short. Now it changed, thanks to I don't know what. There are also some clubs in some basements in Slovakia. No, but the situation is much better, and we have some successful stories. We still wait for our Björk, as the Czech Republic does.
So are we. I guess.
Like you, yes, but it can happen.
Yeah.
It's maybe one day. Now it's more about strategies, and also what I think, what is changing the landscape of music dramatically is our monopolies, corporates, etc., etc. It changed a lot. The situation between Czech Republic and Slovakia is different. Also, that we still don't have representation of Live Nation active in Slovakia like you do, like Czech Republic.
But how would that change the situation?
It's changing the whole thing from my perspective, because it could be one panel. From my point of view, it's changing a lot. When you have 40 festivals, you are losing connections between festivals and your crowd. And it depends. There are also some great examples of corporate festivals which are fantastic, and of also some independent festivals which are not good. Of course, I don't want to make it black and white, but in general, it's more about uniformity, more about strategies, more about controlling who is playing where, more about like these schemes and schedules for everything, and books, guidebooks for design, for lineup, for genres, for Excel sheets, etc., etc. So it's changing a lot from my perspective. We can take a risk very easily. I don't know if we could book Afghan Women Orchestra if it would be part of Live Nation with Pohoda, because it was several tens of thousands of euros. And I'm sure that it didn't sell any ticket, but it's for values we want to present at Pohoda. It's very important. So I think that it's changing somehow things. And it also, because we are very often speaking about some or only positive things, what I don't like I think the showcase festivals are super important and are great. Some of them are much more controlled by agencies, bigger agencies, so the real independent bands with friends as managers and agents don't have a chance to play there anymore because it's divided. Not all slots. I'm not friends of conspiracies, so it can happen, of course. But also what is a strange thing that some of showcase festivals are not paying anything to emerging bands. No travel costs. They have to pay for backline. If you go to South by Southwest, it costs you a fortune to play there. So which emerging acts from Slovakia can go to play there? No one. If you don't have rich daddy, or for someone, you absolutely can't go to play there.
Are there Slovakian bands that are strong enough domestically to be able to finance, maybe not the US, but maybe, just the European countries?
Yes, but also we work more with alternative music. There are many very popular bands from pop scene, which are not interesting to me, and they have right to do what they do. I'm fine with that. So they can afford to play anywhere, and they can do big stadium shows with everything like big stars, let's say international stars. But in scene we are working with, it's normal then musicians have another job and they do this like part-time or just hobby, which is sometimes a pity because they are amazing artists. But when I will be positive again, for example, B Complex, DJ from Slovakia, is releasing music in Hospital Records, which is in drum and bass, fantastic and big success. So in some subgenres, our metal bands, mainly like let's say more extreme metal bands, are touring around the world, but it's more community thing than real commercial success. So this works. Our ska star is playing all around Europe, I would say, not world. So there are examples, but not this kind of big pop star, or big not pop star. But Björk is fantastic example, but I don't know if that can happen anymore.
Yeah. Do you see different synergies in Czechia in terms of huge companies being present and changing the landscape?
Not very different. Maybe only when Michal talked about the showcase festivals, it's true that some of them don't cover any costs to artists. And in Czechia, we have the export office Soundcheck, and it helps a lot to local artists to play abroad. So at least they don't have to pay, some of them. If they apply and if they are chosen, they don't have to pay these costs, which can be very expensive.
Do you work with them sometimes, with the Soundcheck?
I am at the dramaturgic board of Soundcheck, so I work with them, and so I also receive some applications. And also I'm mentioning this because I think that some agents and some artists are here as well, and they maybe are there any musicians here?
Yeah.
So this Czech export office is of course for Czech musicians, but they do have some interesting programs for composing artists together with some with some international artists, interesting cooperation, or for example, for touring abroad together with some international artists. So it could be good to know about it.
Yeah. Just to open the stage a little bit, do you guys have any questions? Yes.
What do you think about the visuals or the graphical representation of a given project? How do you think? What do you think is the importance of that, and did it change in the last, like, let's say, 10 years? Like, not just the music, but connected to all the graphical things of the project. Let it be on social, I mean, on online or offline showcase or a concert.
Great question. I am arguing with our graphic designer every day, and this day was like one of the biggest fight in last half year. So it's like great question, really. It's super important, but we are changing our identity every year. We have our logo, we have our main things, but we are every year has different identity, and it makes it interesting, like exciting, but also sometimes it's not working so well like we would like to have it. So sometimes we have to change it a little bit. So it's the thing which is, from my perspective, crucial sometimes, because comments are every year, all people, our visitors are waiting for our new design. And every year it's like, not every year, but normally it's like 2/3 of the comments are positive and 1/3 is like, wow. And sometimes it's becoming more to the bad side, sometimes it's becoming to the good side. Of course, it's normal that people like to write critical comments, so it's because everyone is graphic designer sometimes, and everyone is ice hockey trainer now. I know you are not following it, but now everyone is ice hockey trainer in Slovakia because it's championship in ice hockey. So from my perspective, it's very important. It's also it's also interesting that, for example, younger audience is sometimes more blind to design which we used to have before and want something totally different. So we are balancing the design between this, like what we want to say, what we want to communicate. And I must say that I would like to tell you more, but from my point of view, it's alchemy. Our graphic designer could speak about it hours. But what I see as important in our case is to change it every year. And on site, we are not using decor too much. We want to focus on visual art with real installations.
And that's what I meant actually, in this way, this connected visual art that is part of the project. So
visual art is strong part of Pohoda, very strong part, and we work with I can say with the best artists in the country, and they are absolutely declining everything what is coming to be described as just decor of the festival, because they say it's too cheap. You must focus on this, and you will not ask Elan. It's the worst. No. You will not ask who is cheesy artist in international music scene. I don't want to be rude to anyone. Yeah. You will not ask.
We can all pick ours, I guess. No?
Who is like cheesy one. Okay, you will not ask. Toto Cutugno is dead, so it's also not a good example. So to play Pohoda, so you will not present, for example, yes, or modern talking. You will not put modern talking to play main stage, so you can't put like this, like big flowers or big something here, because you have such a great visual artist present here that you just can't do that. So it's another thing.
For us, it's also important thing, but we try to keep it simple because we are not a festival, so we cannot change everything, every year to have a different design. So we just have the logo as a central visual effect in every promotional things. but also it is changing. So we, a few years ago, we decided not to do offline promotion. Sorry, so we do online only, and we stopped print posters and do the just. It just doesn't work so well for us. So we have a few places in Prague where we have like our program with some highlights, but the posters for every big show, it stopped like maybe 4 years ago, before COVID.
And by the way, this is the example how we use to play with the festival, because this is like Chemical Brothers design used in Pohoda Festival, but we asked for them to do that. Okay. They approved, and we could do this. So it was in 2018 when they played. This was part of our merge, for example.
Just to help us navigate a bit more about the scenes in each country, can you name a few other, I don't know, companies or communities, let's say, or groups that would be interesting for a Hungarian artist, Hungarian band, or a booker to reach out to if she wanted to, get some present in the countries?
So shall I name some competing venues?
Well, maybe, if not venues, maybe festivals, or
no. I can of course name another venues.
It's too
festival.
big for someone and could start maybe somewhere else before.
I even can name the similar size venues. There is Roxy, for example. There is Lucerna Bar. There is Cross Club for electronic music. There is a bit smaller venue with a nice program. It's Café v Lese. It's capacity of 200. For the bigger events, there is Forum Karlín, or Sasazu, or Lucerna, and then O2 for 18,000 capacity shows. Actually, there are every year there are some new spaces which are attractive for new musicians for some time, and then sometimes they disappear very quickly. But maybe I can also name Kasárna Karlín, which is they have the nice open space, so it works for summertime where Palác Akropolis is closed.
And any other cities apart from Prague that would be interesting, or a good idea for a band to go to?
Recently we started to cooperate with Ústí nad Labem, which is the north part of the country. They have a nice culture house of culture. It is not like the cultural city, but this is a nice venue. So we collaborate with them within the project Slow Mobility. So sometimes when we book artists, if they are interested, we send it to them. But I named Ústí nad Labem because this was the recent cooperation, but there is Brno, for example, which is more important, or Ostrava, and These two cities are, I think, they have a good venues like Fleda. They have nice festivals like Crossroads Music Festival, a showcase festival focused on jazz music, fusion, and world music. And there is also the biggest festival, Colors of Ostrava.
And in Slovakia, any other place than Trenčín?
Yeah. So,
thank you.
In short, I would like to be short. Okay. Festivals or clubs?
Let's say clubs.
Good.
First, yeah.
Or I will say festivals, it's short. So there is Grape Festivals on same side in Trenčín in August. There is Uprising for more reggae, dubstep, and that kind of artists. There is Top Fest for more rock music, and there are several small festivals which, from my perspective, are amazing, like Soundgarden, Festival, Concini, Festfajni Fest, Festfiesta, and that kind of smaller festivals, but also with international lineup. And I think it's great to start there. As for clubs, if I would do, as Hungarian promoter, if I would plan tour for a smaller Hungarian act in Czechoslovakia, I was big fan of Czechoslovakia, I would combine Bratislava Pink Whale. Pink Whale is absolutely the must club in Bratislava with amazing values. It's boat, but not like A38 here, but smaller. With amazing values, everything, good sound, everything nice. And Cabinet Moose in Brno, it's amazing club with great atmosphere. And Café Vlese. You mentioned Café Vlese, but this is like 3 clubs. If you will play it in a row, you will just go through 3 beautiful spots with smaller capacity. But in Bratislava there is Fuga, very good for punk and other. And I will then stop genres because it would take too long. Subdeck is for dance music, and there are several. The Nova Cvernovka is great for. There is also Sharp Festival in Nova Cvernovka. It's important club in Bratislava. Music Majesty Club, MMC Bratislava, is for bigger acts, including Grandal. It's in the same building. And then Trnava, I will go geographically. Trnava is Mali Berlin, Piešťany, Elektráreň, or Živel, or Arta, Trenčín, Lúč, or Hviezda, but Lúč is one of which is very popular. Žilina is Stanica. Then Košice, Colosseum is amazing for rock bands, Tabačka for alternative bands, Prešov, Stromoradie, Prešov is city, Stromoradie is name of the club, amazing. Rožňava, which is close to Hungarian borders, amazing culture center, Kláštor. Banská Bystrica, amazing culture center, Záhrada. And Nitra is, there are several clubs like Stará pekáreň, or music art club. So there are now a lot of clubs around the country, and amazing, some of them are doing great
it's
work.
Great it's recorded, so people can take note after that. So that's perfect.
So now I must think who I forgot. Bardejov, Bashta, and others.
Okay. Yeah, we are getting close to our finish line here. Are there any questions about the scenes, about their events and venues? If not, then I think I will thank you for your presence and being here, and for answering all these questions, and for being so informative. I hope everyone learned a lot about the scenes and the countries and your events and the venues. So thank you very much, and hope to meet you soon again at Pohoda and in Acropolis. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Cassie.